Okay, so guys, let's begin with the second pillar of OOPS. Earlier we saw inheritance. So today we are going to learn polymorphism. So when you just go to your notes, okay, in GitHub, just go to repositories. Let's open these notes. Press Ctrl F, polymorphism. Now what does this mean, by the way? Let's understand this with an example. So let us assume one simple example is the human behavior. I would say it is very polymorphic, meaning it keeps changing. You'll never have a stagnant same behavior every time. Example, when you're happy, the way you will behave will be different. When you're upset, your behaviors will be different. Correct? When you're angry, behavior is different. And when you're, let's say, depressed, then your behavior will be totally different. Now, what I'm trying to tell here is it is one entity, it is one person, it is one entity which is taking different forms depending on the situation. Now, depending on the situation, your behaviors are changing. You're taking multiple forms. It's the same human being, but that human being is ending up taking what? Multiple forms. Are you understanding what is polymorphism? Poly means many, right? And morphism means forms. So it is one human being taking multiple forms. Okay. Now, sir, why are we learning this? How we can implement this in Java? So that's a question. So polymorphism in Java is a concept where I will develop a feature such that it can take more than one form depending on the situation. What we need to do here is you need to develop a feature such that it can take more than one form depending on situation, just like that human being. Depending on the situation, the form that you were taking was changing. The same way, depending on the situation now, depending on the situation now, we should develop a feature which can take a particular form. When we take now an example, this will get more clear. But very important note about polymorphism is you cannot apply polymorphism on variables. This concept of polymorphism is applied only on methods. Did you understand this point? Tell me what is the definition. Read this. Here we develop a feature such that it can take more than one form depending on the situation. Polymorphism is applicable on methods and not variables. Now there are two ways to achieve this polymorphism, meaning there are two ways to develop a feature which can take more than one form. The first one is overriding, which will take place during runtime. Do you understand the meaning of runtime now? Just compile them and runtime. So overriding is also called as runtime polymorphism. Now what is overriding? If you want to modify the logic of inherited method, if you're interested in modifying the logic of inherited method, then we will go with the concept of what? Overriding. Okay, so how do we now understand this? So I have one example for you. See this here. Let's assume you go to a bank and you open up bank account. Now the bank account that you're opening up, one, we have a gold account, and the other one that we have here is platinum account. There are two types of accounts that is being offered by my bank. Okay. Now what is the difference between them? If you're taking online, if you're taking gold account, then online banking is provided. That's a common feature. Any kind of account you open up, online banking will be there. Second, you will observe whatever money you're keeping in your account, the rate of interest is nil. Rate of interest is what? Nil. So if you're opening up gold account, let's say in HDFC Bank, you're opening up gold account, then that account holder can do online transaction. But if you have 50,000 rupees in your account, the rate of interest on that is going to be nil. But in case if you go with platinum account, right, then we have here online banking, we have here online banking, and importantly, rate of interest they are providing 6% per annum, 6% per year. Now if you observe these two things, what is a common feature between them? Online banking, right? But rate of interest is not working in common. The logic for rate of interest for gold account and the platinum account is different. Now if I just do inheritance, I will not be able to achieve this requirement. Of course I have to do inheritance. Why? Because when I do inheritance, this method is inherited. These two methods are inherited from the gold account to platinum account. The methods are inherited. But these two methods inherited, the challenge that I have here is online banking I can use as it is, but rate of interest feature after inheriting, I have a requirement to modify that. Yes or no? Correct? So here there is a requirement of modifying the logic of inherited method. Understand what overriding will help us do now? You saw the question here. What is the question? When you are doing inheritance, how many methods from gold account is inherited to platinum account? How many methods are inherited? There are two methods inherited. But if you're using both the methods as it is, inheritance is enough. But now after inheriting, one of the methods logic I want to modify. That is a requirement here. Then I cannot do until and unless you're using overriding. So overriding concept is all about modify the logic of inherited method. Did you understand this? Everyone able to understand what am I telling you? Let's see this here with one practical example. So let me close this all tabs and I will now create here. Let's go to a Java project and here what I'll do is now first let's delete all of that I don't require. I'll create the first account here called as gold account. First class as gold account. Now this gold account has two methods, public void online banking, and this method is all about what? Online banking feature? Yes, will be provided. The next one, it is rate of interest. You see how I'm using camel casing? When I'm giving method names, I'm using camel casing, first letter lowercase, rest of all the letters, first letters of the rest of the words is uppercase. First word lowercase, rest of the words first letter uppercase. This is how the method naming convention should be. Okay, now go back here. I will now create here a class called as platinum account. Let's click on finish. So let's do inheritance now. I'll type here extends gold account. Fine guys. Now let me write here main platinum account is equal to new platinum account. Now platinum account, if I now do p dot online banking, you see, just press the control key. Which method is it calling? Which method is it calling? Which means it's going to print what? And now when I do p dot rate of interest, what it should print? 6%. But here the rate of interest it's going to print what? Nil. Press the control key on your keyboard, click and see. Which method is it calling? Is this right? No. What is the requirement? The requirement is online banking feature should be there. but the rate of interest should be 6% per annum. Now in this case, how do I now modify the logic? So what we do is, in order to override this method, just go to your child class. Just go to your child class and once again create a method with the same name. What's the name of the method? Rate of interest. And here is the method name same. Can you see that? Yeah? Is it same? Yes. Now here, let me print 6% per annum. 6% per annum. Now, press the control key here. See, what is it calling? Now press the control key here. What is it calling? What was it calling earlier? This inherited method. But because of overriding, I could modify the logic of that inherited method, and my child class object is able to call this method, which is overriding this, which means it's replacing this method. This method is getting replaced with this now in my child class. Overriding is modifying the logic of this inherited method in the child class. Did you understand now? But whereas if I create gold account, okay, G is equal to new gold account, and if I now write G dot online banking, G dot rate of interest. Now see, I'll click on it. What is it calling? Press the control key, click on it. What is it calling? That's correct. Gold account object should access these methods, and platinum account will access online banking and rate of interest. Now right click, run as Java application. You see the output? Satisfactory? Everyone, did you understand why polymorphism is important? Because there is one drawback in inheritance. When you do inheritance, all the methods should be used as it is. But now the question arises, what if I don't want to use that method as it is, but I want to modify the logic of that method? And the answer to that is overriding, which is basically what? Polymorphism, first type called as runtime polymorphism. Now, I want you people to read this loudly. Read this. Correct? So this is what the example we have taken. I'm inheriting, overriding, and you see that this is going to print 6% and this is going to print nil. Okay? So let's continue further. The bifurcation, how I did is, you can just drag and drop. I've already covered in that my earlier lecture. You can just click on this, drag and drop, and you can split the window in two screens. Okay? Now let's continue further. Now the next thing is, we need to understand here, whenever we are talking about overriding, okay, whenever we are talking about overriding, what is important, that the method names has to match. However, this access specifier can be different, which we will discuss further. It need not be public and public, you need not match that, but the return type and the rest of the things, when I say rest of the things, is method with zero arguments, the return type and the rest of the things from here should exactly match. This can be different, I'll come to that next, but for now I will change here something. Are they same? Are they same? What is different? But you see any error? There's no error, which means if by mistake you give your method name wrong, method return type wrong, you're not able to see any error, and you will now think overriding is happening. So they wanted to address this issue, and that is where, for the first time in Java version 5, they came up with a concept called as annotations. Now what are annotations? In annotations, I can develop set of rules and regulations. I can develop what? A set of rules and regulations, and these rules and regulations I can make my compiler follow that. As of now, my compiler is not checking this part and giving error. So now when I create a Platinum account, two methods will be present in that. Method 1, method 2. It is not one method. How many methods are present? Why? Because the names are different. If it was one name, then this object of Platinum account would have only one method which is overriding it. But your overriding is not happening. So Java 5, they introduced annotations concept. And the very first annotation that we will see is used like this. We use at the rate, then we write override. Okay, O capital. Now what this does, this particular annotation will inform your compiler. So there are certain rules written down in this annotation. We just look at it. There are certain things written down in this. Like there is, the retention policy. There are certain logics being written down, and that logic we are telling compiler to follow and find out whether overriding is happening or not. If overriding is not happening, it will give you an error. You see, the error is here telling method name is wrong. But let me remove this. Is the error gone? You put this back. Is the error back? Save it. Delete it. Is the error gone? Yes. So which means what is important to understand here, whenever you are doing overriding, the best practice is use this annotation on the method in child class, which will do the checking for you. If overriding not happening, it will give error. If overriding happening, no error. Is this clear? Everyone got this part? Okay. Now, suppose I change the return type to int. What do you see here? Where the error is now highlighted. Now here the error is because return keyword is missing. Forget about that error. But where the error shifted to now? Did you understand now? The error is now shifted towards the return type because the return type is not matching. Let me now make it back void. Now see. Is the error gone? So let's see this here quickly. Some of the definitions. But before that, I want you people to read this line again. Do you all now agree with this? Are you clear with this? Please tell me. Yes. Now let's scroll down. Let's look at example 2. Read this. In Java version 5, a concept of annotations was introduced. And today, when you're learning Hibernate, Spring Boot, without annotations, you cannot do anything there. Are you understanding? If you're dealing with, Hibernate, Spring Boot and things like that, this becomes a mandatory thing. Okay, that you have to use what? Annotations. Observe here now. In Java version 5, a concept of annotations was introduced. Annotations can instruct compiler to perform a, like the syntax for annotation is at the rate, capital letter is what you start with after at the rate. At the rate, annotation name in camel casing. The first letter of every word, capital letter. The override annotation, what it does, read it. This annotation instructs compiler to check whether overriding is happening or not. Right? We have already talked about compile time and runtime earlier. Okay? So overriding happens during runtime. Now let's proceed further. So we have seen all of these examples, errors and things like that. When the method names are what? Different, override is catching that error. Correct? Otherwise that error was not being caught by our compiler. So this is how you need to basically use the annotation. But now let's understand the next important point. See, during overriding, this access specifier can be different. Is it same right now? Yes. What is the access specifier here? What is here? Okay. So which access specifier has got the highest visibility? You can access that everywhere. Then protected. Then default. Then, which means you agree with this. Public has got maximum visibility and private has minimum visibility. Now listen to the rule very carefully. When you're inheriting a method from your parent class, the access specifier is public. Now if you reduce the scope of access specifier in a child class method, it will give error. Right now it is same, but I will now make it protected. When you make it protected, am I increasing or decreasing the scope? The public scope is decreased. Then you see here an error. Right? But let's do one thing now. I will make this as public and I will change this to protected. I will change this to protected. Now observe. Now observe. Do we have any error? Why? Because the inherited method access specifier scope, if you increase in the child class method, then there is no problem. The problem is when you decrease the scope. Now let's say I will replace this with default. Error or will it work? I'm increasing or decreasing scope. I'm inheriting method with protected access specifier. I'm replacing protected with default. Is the scope reduced or increased? Reduced. So what you should give? Error. Okay, let's do one thing now. I will change this to default. And in the child class, I will replace default with public. Am I increasing the scope or decreasing the scope? Decreasing the scope, is it? I'm replacing default with public. Scope is increased or decreased? Increased, right? So why there is an error? No error. I'll replace default. Default with protected. Will it work or error? Work. Why work? Because protected has more visibility than default. So there is no error. What if I replace this with private? Error. Okay, let's do one thing now. This is protected. Now I'll make this as private. Will it work? But if I make this as private, don't you think I'm actually going ahead inheriting private and replacing with protected? It has more scope. The first thing is private methods are not inherited at all. So forget about overriding. Overriding can never be done on such methods which is private, because private methods cannot be inherited. Hence what we see here, error. Everyone, online students, are you able to follow me? Right? Are you able to follow me? Please tell me. Did you all understand this part so far, whatever I've discussed? Correct. Now let's see the examples quickly one by one. So access specifier, should it be same or it can be different during overriding? What's the answer? During overriding, we can increase the scope of access specifier, but we cannot reduce the scope of access specifier. Example, what is the scope of this access specifier? Default. I'm inheriting and replacing with public. Will you see any error? No error, because to public. Are you able to understand? Let's see next example. Now I have a method here as public. I'm inheriting a public method and replacing with default. You see, this part is same. You cannot change this. But public is replaced with default. Increasing scope or reducing scope? So read here. Error because public scope is reduced to default. Very good. Next one. Observe here. What is the scope of this method? Default. Now what is that you're going to replace here with? So now you are replacing default with what? Protected. Are you understanding now? So this is going to increase the scope. Yes or no? So no error, because the default scope is increased to what? Protected. Next one. What is this? Now will it work? Direct error, because private methods we cannot inherit, and without inheritance overriding cannot be done, because the main purpose of overriding is modify the logic of inherited method. Okay, now let's continue further. We have the next question here. Can we inherit static members? See, firstly understand, static members are never a part of inheritance. So this cannot be inherited. Inheritance is a concept that we apply only on non-static member. But however, this will cause confusion among a lot of beginners. Now what they will do, they will create one variable static int x is equal to 100. And then what they will do is, after doing this, they will now go to the child class. Okay, oh, sorry, I did the other way. This is our parent class and this is our child class. Now, a lot of students, what they will do now, they see that it's a static member and they will now try to access that platinum.x. And after this, okay, save this all. They will now tell, sir, this is working, which means the variable x which is static in gold is getting inherited to platinum. And they will end up now telling that this is working. But actually, if you carefully observe, now, this variable that I'm talking about is not inherited. What is happening here? When you now access your static member with a child class name, instead of giving an error, okay, what it does, it will automatically convert this line during compilation. Platinum account is replaced with gold account dot x in your dot class file. This is automatically happening, and that's why we get a feel inheritance is happening. This is not inheritance. What is happening here, when you're accessing a static variable of gold account with platinum account, which is child class, the platinum account dot x, it is not working because of inheritance, but it is going to work because during compilation this will be replaced with gold account like this, and it will work. Are you understanding now? So because of this confusion, we go wrong. Okay, now we will prove this point that they're not inherited with more examples. But firstly, understand this basic logic. Now I'm going to build a method here, public static void and test, and I'm going to write here 1000. Now what I'll do is, I will go here and again take platinum account dot test. This is working, but actually what will happen behind the scene, it will get replaced with gold account dot what, and that will end up giving us an output. Is this part clear, guys? Everybody, did you understand this part? Okay, now if you have understood this, then further things will become clear for you. Now see, there are two static methods. So what are we telling? Static members cannot be inherited. Now there are two static methods. So when you're accessing with a child class, what is it going to be replaced with? This is going to be replaced with gold account dot x, and this will be replaced with gold account with what? Rate of interest. So this is working. Now the next example will give you lot of understanding. So this is what is happening in the above program. This line is converted to, and this line is converted to, hence we are getting the output. Now the next line will give you a clear cut answer that static members are not inherited. Firstly tell me, for overriding, is inheritance mandatory? If for overriding, is inheritance mandatory? Yes. Without inheritance, can I do overriding? The purpose of overriding itself is modify the logic of inherited method. Observe now. Now my question is, can we override static method? Very carefully understand this here. Now we have a static method here. Let me delete this. What method do we have here? Static method. So now the static method, if in case was inherited, I should be able to override. Agreed or not? How do I check overriding is happening or not? At the rate, what do you see here? Observe. What is the answer we get? The method test of platinum account must override or implement super type method. It's not happening. Because static method is not inherited, overriding is not supported here. Did you understand that now? Everyone clear with this part? That static methods, we cannot override that. Can we override static methods? We cannot override static methods, as we cannot inherit static methods. Is this clear? Everyone? Okay. So let's now stop the lecture here. I feel you should practice all of these things. What do you say? Yeah? Do you want to practice this all? Yes or no? Yes? So let's stop here. We will continue next class Monday. And Monday, we will continue our discussions from here further. Okay? That's it, guys. Keep practicing. Keep practicing the programs. And right now, only focus on the notes that we are covering. Don't try to do anything extra. First, get seasoned with this. In sys out, text will be lowercase or uppercase. You mean to say this one, this one, I'm giving uppercase, you get an intelligence. In earlier IDs, it was not like that. The old Eclipse version, it was not like that, right? But later this got updated. Earlier, I'm talking about some 12 years back, ID when we used to look that uppercase would not work, but now that doesn't matter here. Is this clear, Bharat? Everyone? Both will work. Any other questions? If not, I'll end the class here. Payment receipt you have signed. Why? Today all your payment receipts are ready. And one more thing, people who have not paid the fees, soon I'm going to convert this to paid batch. So still people are thinking, right? Once it gets converted to payment paid batch, I will not make you join that batch. You will have to go for only March batch. Are you understanding? So that is the rule. Okay, so some people are thinking I'll make the payment on Feb 15 and I'll get EMI facility from there 1 month. It's not like that. It is from the day our class started. So actually the second EMI has started from 15th. Are you understanding? So soon I'm going to convert. This is a reminder message. Okay. And people, once we convert to the paid batch, classes will happen in our app. And I don't want students, serious students, to miss out the classes. So offline and online checkings will start. Auditing has started. So far we have, I know this every time happens, but so far I think we have already 80 students taken the admission. Right? 80 students have already joined the classes. Okay. So now still there are people who are still thinking, should I give government exams or I should learn this? You might have doubts because some students are still in that phobia. I will give some exams to become an IAS officer or learn this. So you take a strong call. Okay, and some people have already tried giving exams for these things and then they have come here. Yes? How many of them? Many people here prepared for government exams. Yes or no? Today you will get. Just now I signed, Baba. 15 minutes back I've signed. You will get that. Amber. I am Bharat. So let's catch up on Monday, the next class.